All right, let's dive into Leviticus chapter 14. Now, I know what you might be thinking. These ancient laws about cleansing from leprosy can feel a little, well, strange to us today. But stick with me here, because I promise you, hidden inside these really detailed instructions are some of the most beautiful and profound truths about who God is and how much He loves His people.
And that really gets us to the heart of it, doesn't it? What does a law from thousands of years ago about these specific skin conditions have to do with you and me right now? Well, as we're about to see, this whole chapter is a powerful picture, a living illustration of a much deeper spiritual reality. So, let's go ahead and unpack the amazing principles behind these ancient rules.
You know, to really understand what's going on in this chapter, we have to start with a little shift in our thinking. The main issue with biblical leprosy wasn't really a medical one, it was relational. The deepest, most gut-wrenching pain it caused was the pain of separation.
To get this, we gotta look at the word itself. The Hebrew word here is tzara'at, and it's not a direct one-to-one translation of what we call Hansen's disease today. It was actually a much broader term. It could refer to all sorts of conditions, on skin, sure, but also on clothing and even on the walls of a house. And the key thing was that it made a person or an object ceremonially unclean, basically unfit to be in the presence of a holy God and His people.
So this is the crucial point right here. The real tragedy wasn't just the physical sickness, as tough as that must have been. The real heartbreak was being declared unclean and being forced to live outside the camp. Can you imagine? It meant you were cut off from your family, from your friends, and most importantly, from the tabernacle, the very place God's presence was. It was like a living death, a picture of total exile.
But God, in His incredible mercy, always provides a way back. And it all starts with this absolutely beautiful and dramatic ceremony. The very first step is that the priest goes to meet the person outside the camp. Just think about that. God doesn't wait for them to get themselves cleaned up. He goes out to them, right where they are in their separation.
And this whole ritual, wow, it just paints this stunning picture of the gospel. Look at the pieces here. One bird is sacrificed. Its blood is shed over running water. That's a picture of a life being given to wash away all the defilement. Then the second bird, the living one, is dipped into that very blood, and then it's set free. That bird represents the person who's been cleansed. Once they were condemned, but now they are identified with the sacrifice and released into a brand new life of freedom. They're sprinkled 7 times, that number of divine completion, and declared clean. Just incredible.
Now, being declared clean was this huge, decisive moment, but it wasn't actually the end of the story. Full restoration, getting back into the full swing of community life, was a very deliberate step-by-step process. And as we'll see, this journey was both really thorough and deeply meaningful.
So after that initial ceremony, the person could come back into the camp, but they had to wait outside their own tent for 7 days. This whole process just shows how serious this all was. On day 1, they shave and bathe. Then on day 7, they do it all over again, a complete, thorough removal of any last trace of that old life of separation. It's only on the 8th day, which is always the day of new beginnings in Scripture, that they are finally ready to fully rejoin worship at the tabernacle.
And on that big 8th day, they bring 3 specific offerings. First, the trespass offering. This was about making things right, acknowledging the debt they owed to a holy God. Then, the sin offering, which dealt with the very stain of sin, the root cause of the separation in the first place. And finally, the burnt offering, which symbolized a complete, total, wholehearted dedication back to God. You see, every single aspect of the relationship was being restored. And the result is just this incredible, night and day transformation. From being unclean and outcast, exiled from everything, to being declared clean, welcomed back into the community, and given the amazing privilege of being able to approach God's presence again. This isn't just some legal change of status, it's a total restoration of life itself.
But the chapter doesn't even stop there with people. It actually goes on to show how these exact same principles of cleansing and restoration apply even to the houses they lived in. It just goes to show how seriously God takes any kind of defilement that creeps into His creation.
The process for a house pretty much mirrors the one for a person. There's an inspection, a quarantine period, and a chance for cleansing. Scraping the stones, replastering. But if that leprosy, that defilement comes back and it's persistent, the house has to be completely torn down. That's a radical step, and it shows that there can be no compromise with corruption that just won't go away. But if the house is healed, that same beautiful 2-bird ceremony is performed over it, declaring it clean.
So okay, We've walked through all these ancient details, the birds, the offerings, the houses. Let's pull back again and ask that question, why does this matter to us today? It matters because every single one of these rituals is a physical picture pointing to a timeless spiritual truth.
So here are the big takeaways. First, God passionately wants to be in fellowship with us. Second, He is absolutely holy, and He takes the defilement of our sin, the thing that separates us from Him, incredibly seriously. Third, cleansing and getting back to Him are only possible through the blood of a sacrifice, a substitute. And finally, God's work of restoring us is never superficial. It's deep, it's complete, and it is totally thorough.
You know, this one verse really just boils the whole chapter down perfectly. The priest, acting as the go-between, makes atonement. The price is paid, and because of that, the person is declared clean. It's all about God's provision through a sacrifice that leads to total restoration.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Just think about this. If God cared so much that He laid out such a detailed, gracious, and symbolic path for someone to be physically brought back into the community, what does that tell us about the depth of His love and the incredible lengths He has gone to provide a path for our spiritual restoration back to Him? Thanks for joining me on this journey.